We are following today's breaking COVID vaccine news. The U.S. putting a pause on Johnson & Johnson's COVID vaccine. While covering this, WKRG is teaming up with USA Health to administer Pfizer vaccines to our Gulf Coast viewers. And you're taking a live look of our vaccine clinic drive-through, as you can see, happening outside our studios right now. Everybody's getting ready for the rain. More than 6.8 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine have been administered in the United States. And today, U.S. health officials did call for an immediate pause on the vaccine. Federally run vaccination sites across the country stopped offering the Johnson & Johnson shot after some recipients developed blood clots within 2 weeks of receiving that single-dose vaccine. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Food and Drug Administration are working to determine whether there is, in fact, a link between the vaccine and the blood clots. Dr. Michael Chang with USA Health is joining us live to weigh in. Thank you for being here. This pause is a recommendation, not a mandate, correct?
That's correct. It's a pause issued by the Federal Food and Drug Administration to give researchers an opportunity to look further into what's going on and what they think they might find.
Okay, and it is important to note only 6 cases are being reported right now. Of course, no one wants to be one of the 6. Dr. Chang, blood clots due to the vaccine have only been seen in women. Any reason for that?
Not that we know of at this time, no.
Okay, research was being done on the AstraZeneca vaccine in the United Kingdom for a believed blood clot symptom. Any similarity here?
Could be. I mean, the AstraZeneca vaccine and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine are both a certain type of vaccine called an attenuated adenovirus vaccine. In other words, the money end of the vaccine is delivered by what we call an adenovirus, and so they have that in common. It just remains to be seen whether that's related to the problems that we're seeing or not.
How are things like this missed during clinical trials?
Well, you know, clinical trials are powered to find complications at a certain rate. So, for example, all the big studies that were done on the vaccines that are currently in use were done in 30,000 patients or more. We're talking about here one complication per 1 million people. So that to find even one case of this, you would have to have had a study that was 30 times larger than any of the largest studies that we have. So it's a very, very, very rare complication. And again, we don't even know that it's absolutely related to the vaccine itself.
Okay, so Dr. Chang, what are the warning signs that someone may be experiencing an adverse reaction, that they may have a blood clot due to a vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson in particular?
So blood clots typically for this particular complication would be probably the sudden and severe onset of a headache, but also new abdominal pain, new leg pain or leg swelling. All those are symptoms that are associated with blood clots.
How is this type of blood clot different, and why does it have to be treated differently?
This blood clot is a blood clot that actually occurs in what we call the cerebral sinus, which is a large vein within the skull. And it's also associated with a low platelet count, which is a chemical test or a test for blood clotting factors in your blood. And the fact that the clot is what it is and it's associated with a low platelet count means we don't treat it the normal way that we treat blood clots, because the mechanism of action is probably different and would not respond to the normal treatment.
Which would be a blood thinner?
Which would be a blood thinner. There are different types of blood thinners out there that you would use to treat this clot, but the typical ones we think of, heparin, Coumadin, warfarin, would not be the blood thinners to use for this kind of condition.
Okay, you kind of touched on this. So the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a different kind of technology compared to Pfizer and Moderna. Those 2-dose vaccines use that mRNA, but Johnson & Johnson uses a cold virus version of the vaccine. Will you explain the difference?
So the mRNA is a molecule that for the Pfizer and the Moderna shots is carried in a carrier sort of and injected right into the tissues and makes the spike protein that we generate an immune response to. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is brought in not as a molecule, but is brought in by what we call an attenuated virus. It's an adenovirus. It's actually a virus that doesn't harm humans, but that carries the business end of the vaccine in it and that's how it gets into the body. So the mRNA vaccines, Moderna and Pfizer, are the same type. The adenovirus vector vaccines, Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca, are a completely different type of vaccine. And because they're both delivered into the body the same way, and because they both seem to be associated with these clots, that's why the pause has been issued, and that's why they're looking into it further.
Okay, I know we're running out of time, but I do have one more quick question. How long do you believe this vaccine pause will last?
Don't know. It all depends upon what the FDA finds.
All right, Dr. Chang, thank you again for your time. Reps for Johnson & Johnson released 2 statements since news broke today about stopping use of the vaccine, saying the company's top priority is the safety of those who use their products, and they are aware of the events reported, but again, there is no clear relationship between the events and the COVID-19 vaccine. They say they will continue to work closely with researchers.